When a massive infrastructure project or enterprise rollout misses its deadline by 6 months, the postmortem usually focuses on material delays or labor shortages. However, many projects stall because their internal sequence was rigid from the start, immobilized by a logic error made months before ground was broken. Across the project management industry, data shows that over 80% of all task dependencies are set to a single type, finish to start. Planners typically settle on this setting because it is the default value in scheduling software. Selecting Finish to Start is often simply the path of least resistance in a drop-down menu. Every dependency type makes a specific claim about physical or contractual reality. Telling a program that Task B cannot begin until Task A is 100% finished encodes that physical constraint into the project's DNA. This diagram shows that default posture. Design, procure, build, test, and launch are forced into a sequential stack, ignoring reality and inflating duration. When logic matches the work, mixing start to start, finish to finish, and finish to start, the timeline collapses. Duration drops 34% with the identical scope. Using finish to start as a blanket setting doesn't protect the project from risk. It bakes a mathematical lie into the critical path, artificially extending the timeline before the first hour of work is even logged. Kestrel Fabrication recently attempted a modernization program across 12 manufacturing plants, operating on a fixed 18-month mandate. Their master schedule contained over 900 individual tasks per plant, with every single one linked finish to start. On paper, it appeared to be a model of disciplined sequential order. This approach stems from the belief that more links equal more. Planners often assume that a high density of dependencies creates a more rigorous and predictable environment. At Kestrel, this led to an average of 2.6 dependencies per task. In practice, every dependency acts as a rigid weld. By overlinking, Kestrel removed flexibility. When one task slipped, it couldn't be absorbed. Instead, the delay transferred through the links, forcing all 900 tasks to jolt forward simultaneously. By month 7, half of Kestrel's plants were tracking 40% behind schedule, even though no one could point to a specific broken task. A dense, overlinked schedule creates a brittle environment where minor variances are absolutely guaranteed to trigger massive systemic delays. The program office audited the schedules and found that electrical certification was linked to wait for the entirety of mechanical installation to finish. This highlights the need to challenge every finish to start link. The planner must determine if Task B truly needs 100% of Task A to be finished, or just a specific milestone within it. At Kestrel, electrical inspectors only needed the wiring loom finished to begin work. By using a sequential link, the software forced them to wait for exterior panels to be bolted on. To fix this, they utilized start-to-start logic. This allows a downstream task to trigger from an upstream milestone's start rather than its completion. This does not mean the tasks happen simultaneously. Start-to-start establishes a shared trigger condition. Certification was set to begin with a 5-day lag after the wiring loom started, matching the actual flow of work. The audit also addressed the closeout phase, where commissioning testing and documentation were linked sequentially. When two tasks must land at exactly the same time, such as live testing and the resulting documentation, finish to finish is the required physical logic. By converting just one of these closeout links to finish, Kestrel reclaimed 9 days of duration per plant. Reclaiming time requires untangling false serialization and ensuring the software logic matches the physics of the job site. Without active governance, software defaults will eventually corrupt the schedule again during the first major scope change. To prevent this, the L.A.T.C.H framework serves as a pre-flight diagnostic for every dependency in the plan. The first steps are to lock the logic and anchor the trigger. Planners must name the physical reason for a link and identify the specific milestone that starts the next task. The T stands for test the lag. A 10-day lag without a written justification is just hidden risk. If the planner cannot defend it, it is removed. Chain only what binds ensures that tasks that can run independently remain unlinked. Every extra dependency is a potential delay invented by the planner. Finally, hold an owner dictates that every link must have a named human responsible for flagging when reality on the ground deviates from the plan. L.A.T.C.H transforms scheduling into a rigorous engineering discipline rather than a data entry task. The final 6 plants at Kestrel followed the latch audit. This resulted in a 34% reduction in schedule duration, finishing 11 weeks ahead of the plants that relied on default finish-to-start logic. These results were achieved using the same scope and crews. Accuracy and logic was the only variable. This highlights the shift required for high-performance execution. High-performance teams move away from default links toward dependencies based on physical reality. This clarifies a misunderstanding about the critical path. Planners often assume the most connected chain is most critical. However, criticality is determined exclusively by zero float. A chain with 3 dependencies and no slack threatens the finish date more than 15 dependencies with float. Scheduling software is designed to validate your arithmetic, not your assumptions. It will calculate a flawless critical path, even if the underlying logic is physically impossible. A schedule filled with default finish-to-start links is not a plan, it is a queue. Audit your baseline tomorrow. If you aren't willing to defend the physical claims your dependencies are making, your schedule is likely wired to fail.